Hi, so my name's Kerry. I'm a sleep specialist, and my business is called the Sleep Fixer. So I support families for children aged between 1 and 18 years on improving sleep for them. So I've been doing it for nearly 10 years now. So Frollo have asked me to come on and just do a quick video for you. So I'm just going to cover kind of the common things that I see with sleep, and things that hopefully might make a bit of a difference to you and your children around sleep. So we have got something internally called our circadian rhythm, and that kind of sets our sleep wake cycle. So overall, that's like the biology behind sleep. And sleep is a learned it's something that we learn to do. It's a learned process. So children will have been learning to sleep from when they were born, and may have kind of created habits around sleep that are a bit more difficult to break as they get older. So definitely having a set routine before falling to sleep is really, really important. So there's lots of advice around routines that you can implement for children, but actually the most effective thing is just the hour before bed, kind of switching off electronics, dimming the light. So light is a really key indicator to our brain to produce something called melatonin, which is our sleepy hormone. So dimming the lights around an hour before bed, and having kind of a set of things that you do without any electronics or any gross motor kind of activity. So keeping everything quite calm the hour before going to bed. It's probably really important to mention here as well that bedtime is not always the time in which the child will fall to sleep. So as parents, we kind of put our children to bed at the time that we feel is appropriate for them and their age. But the circadian rhythm kind of overall tells our body what to do and when to do it. So sometimes children can go to bed at, say, 7 o'clock because that's what is age appropriate for them. But actually, they're not falling asleep until maybe 8:30. This is really, really common. This is a really common thing that I see, and what I always work with the body. So putting children to bed at the time in which they fall asleep initially, having that really good hour before bed where it's calm, and then playing about with the time afterwards. So what I try to encourage is parents to put their children to bed so that they're falling asleep fairly quickly from when they go into bed, and that can be really, really helpful. For some people, those body clocks can be really significantly delayed, so can be up to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. I've had some children even 3, 4. There are kind of special strategies that we can use for those children, but as a general rule, look at what time your child is actually falling to sleep and put them to bed at that time, and then kind of look at timings and stepping that back. And you can do it maybe 10-15 minutes every 2 or 3 nights. Another really key area that I'd say 90% of the families I support, children are waking up through the night. This is the most common thing, and probably has the biggest effect actually on parents. Often when children wake up through the night, they wake up during the parents' deep sleep cycle, so it tends to have a bigger effect on how we feel the next day. So with nighttime wake-ins, the kind of number one factor is, how did your child initially fall to sleep? So different children will have different sensitivities to this. So some children can fall asleep, say, with their parent with them, and then the parent leaves and the child can sleep through the night. But more often than not, the environment in which the child first fell asleep, when they have so we have something called partial awakenings throughout the sleep cycle, and what we do at this point is subconsciously check our environment. So when a child then has this partial awakening, if something has changed from when they initially fell asleep, that can be enough to cause them to wake up fully. So for example, if your child's fallen asleep and you're with them when they fall to sleep, then you leave and go downstairs and then go to bed in your own bed when it's your bedtime. When your child then has a partial awakening, they don't actually know that you've left, so that can be enough to cause them to then wake fully fully and want you to come and replace that. And it's often when children will kind of sneak through and get into bed with their parents. So definitely looking at the environment in which they're falling to sleep. And this can be even the tiniest of things. So for example, when a child goes to bed, there's almost like a natural hum around the house when a child will go to bed at 7, 8, 9 o'clock, because people are still up and doing things and the TV's on. And then when they wake up at the partial awakening in the middle of the night, that's like completely silent. So that can be a real change in the environment for that child. So it's being really kind of acutely aware of how your child is falling to sleep. So are they falling asleep with a light on, and then when you go to bed you turn the light off? For example, the hallway light is really, really common. With a parent in the room is another common feature. Dummies, bottles, glass of milk, with the TV on, with music on, all of those things can then cause the child to wake up fully at night. So definitely looking at the environment is a really, really key factor to looking at night wakens. Now, another reason for night wakens would be night terrors and sleepwalking. So the way that you would distinguish whether your child is having a night terror or a nightmare would be at the time of night that it occurs. So night terrors will only ever happen in the deep sleep cycles, so within the first 3.5 to 4 hours of sleep. So that's how you can differentiate between whether it's a night terror or a nightmare. There are specific treatments for night terrors, and if anyone is kind of having issues with that or sleepwalking, that again will only occur in the first 3.5, 4 hours of sleep, then please get in touch and I can give you some advice around that. That's not anything that I don't charge for advice around just night terrors or sleepwalking. It's a very specific method that you have to use, but it will cure it overnight. So another thing that I see is early morning waking. Often kind of that last sleep cycle, so where children are kind of waking up at 5ish, 4:35. This is like the last cycle of sleep, so it's very, very light, and you can be quite easily disrupted at this time. Common factors that I've seen is things like the birds outside, for example, tweeting. Obviously, because we're heading into the summer months now, the light as well. So light is a natural way of suppressing melatonin, so it helps you to wake up. So if you haven't got blackout blinds and the sun's coming up in the window, that can be a cause for waking early in the morning. So what I always recommend, actually, for night waking and early morning waking, or children that can get quite upset around bedtime as well. So noise to fall asleep. So pink noise is amazing. It's like a continuous sound. So it's shh, and that's how it sounds the whole way through the night. I've found that to be really, really effective, actually. And also white noise as well. There's all different types of white noise, or a fan or something, but what you want is that to promote that consistent environment. So when you put noise on that plays all night, that will provide the child with some consistency, so those little noise or little changes in noises won't wake them fully. The other thing to mention, maybe daytime naps. So around the age of 2 or 3 is where you'd say kind of drop the daytime naps. A key time, we have like a little melatonin spike in the afternoon between the hours of 2 and 4. So that's going to be a key time when children will start to feel a bit more tired. So ways that you can combat it is exactly the opposite of what you do before going to bed, and it would be gross motor activity, daylight, out in the fresh air. And also wake up time. So we're in lockdown at the moment, so obviously, even my own children, bedtime's been a bit later, wake up time's been a bit later, but trying to promote a consistent wake up time. So even if it is a bit later during lockdown, I wouldn't go too late, but have the same wake up time every single day. This really helps to strengthen the body clock, which is what you know, what we're trying to do. I hope that's been useful to you. So I've got 10 minutes max. I'm on 9:34. But please do get in touch. So my Instagram's at the Sleep Fixer. The whole reason for setting the Sleep Fixer up was to get some affordable kind of sleep advice out there that's based on science and experience. So like I said, I've been doing this for 10 years for children with and without additional needs. And had loads and loads of successes. It's been brilliant. And I've been on my own. So I used to work for local authority, been on my own as a sleep fixer for just over a year now. So give me a follow, get in touch if you've got any questions to ask about anything that I've spoken about today. And hopefully that's going to have given you a little bit of insight into how you can help resolve sleep. Okay, bye.